Big plays, Minnesota.
You can't give up the big plays. Everything working? Testing, 1, 2, 3. All right, let's get into it. Hello and welcome to On Tap Sports, the channel where we cover all the sports all the time, but we really love college football. I'm obviously a Michigan fan, but the Ohio State subscribers on this channel will tell you I'm very fair-minded. I thought I was going to get to gloat a little bit tonight. It's 45-31 right now. I think I'm safe to go ahead and record because Minnesota's defense, to no fault of their own, Ohio State, we're going to talk about it, has so many playmakers that I don't think Minnesota's defense is going to be able to stop Ohio State at this point. I think Ohio State's going to win this game. Minnesota's O-line, Joe Klatt said it right away. They averaged 330 pounds as a unit. They took that to their advantage today as Mohamed Ibrahim had 30 carries for 162 yards and 2 touchdowns in this game. At the half, he had 19 for 114 and a touchdown. He was very effective on the ground. If you're wondering what I'm doing with this highlighter, I'm going over the notes as I reach them. So, very effective on the ground. Minnesota, that was their game plan, and they tried to stick with the game plan until Ibrahim went down, and when Ibrahim went down, it's definitely not the reason why they lost. In fact, Ohio State was striking very confidently at that moment, but it hurt. It hurt because Ibrahim's a stud. Minnesota kept the ball for 6 minutes on their first drive and ended up with 0 points. You know, that's good because they were able to work down some clock early on, and that's helpful for sure, especially when you're going against that potent Ohio State offense. But you would have liked to see them get points on that drive. They ended up having to pass some, and Tanner Morgan wasn't comfortable early. In fact, it took him a long time to get comfortable in this game. He had his moments. At the time of recording this, he was 14 for 25, 206 yards, 1 touchdown. Okay day for Tanner Morgan. I've seen better out of him, but there were a lot of big plays that he made, a lot of good leadership plays. I like what I saw out of him all in all. Miyan Williams was the starter for Ohio State, and he started off with a bang, 72 yards to the house, and it was 7-0 Ohio State early on. Teague got the second series, and we're going to go into this, but I also said in that preview video, and many of you agreed, many of the Ohio State Buckeye fans agreed that Master Teague isn't necessarily the guy that you want to be your every down back. He's more of a bumbler and a big guy ready to pound it, you know? I don't know about him being your every down back, and the numbers prove that. Teague only had 6 carries for 29 yards at the time of recording this, 4.8 yards per carry. And I said, and I have it on my notes, I said at halftime to myself, because I'm the only one here at the apartment, I said at halftime to myself, they do not need to give the ball to Teague anymore. Now, I didn't think they'd actually do it. But right now, at this moment, Teague has not carried the ball in the second half. So kudos to Ryan Day just saying, forget it. I'm done with it. Joe Klatt also gave him kudos, Ryan Day, for passing the ball, even though Stroud was a little bit shaky in the first half, for going deep and making the plays. Stroud came through in the second half for sure. So Ryan Day with some excellent calls. Great coaching on his behalf for sure. Henderson, 2 carries for 15 yards, 7.5 yards per carry, so didn't carry the ball much. And Miyan Williams was on the stat line the best running back on the day, at least on the ground. 9 carries, 125 yards. 13.9 yards per carry and a touchdown. Minnesota, Chris Olave did not play, so they were going to need somebody to step up on their behalf. That somebody was Dalen Wright. He had 5 catches, 57 yards, and a touchdown. Very good receiver. Very impressed with him. Really goes up and get it. Uses his body, uses his length. And it's pretty quick, too, for his size. So I like that a lot. Kudos to him for stepping up because you have no Rashad Bateman, obviously. He's gone pro now. No Chris Olave. Somebody needed to step up, and he was that guy. Early on, it's going to be talked about. It would have really been talked about if Minnesota would have won this game. 4th and 1 at their own 29 with 10 minutes left in the second. Huge kudos to PJ Fleck for going for that. PJ Fleck known for rolling the dice a little bit in his career as a coach, and that's why he makes the big bucks. Mo Ibrahim makes Ohio State pay, gets a 56-yard gain to the Ohio State 15, and it resulted in that Dalen Wright touchdown. Dalen Wright, the A&M transfer. After that, Stroud threw the interception, and that led to an Ibrahim short touchdown run. It was 14-10 at that point. So we got ourselves a ball game, but if you're a Michigan fan or just a college football fan in general that's seen Ohio State plenty in the past, you know, it's Ohio State. They got way too many weapons at the receiver position. And as we saw today, they have way too many weapons at the running back position as well, and CJ Stroud can put it on a rope. after he calmed down, for sure. Again, I said Ohio State in the first half, I was like, what are y'all doing? Miyan Williams at the end of the first half had 4 carries for 86 yards. That's 21.5 yards per carry. TreVeyon Henderson had 1 for 10, so that's 10 per. And Master Teague had 6 for 29 at 4.8 per. It was clear that Master Teague was not that dude. And like I said, Ryan Day, listen to me in my head at least. He did not go with Master Teague in the second half at all. And deservingly so. CJ Stroud at the half was 8 for 14 for 58 yards, 1 interception, 0 touchdowns. He was really struggling to find his mark, didn't look very comfortable in the pocket, but again, he's young. And I'm giving CJ Stroud the benefit of the doubt here for sure. This game's at Minnesota. It's a tough Big Ten opponent out the gates in your first start ever. Give the guy some slack, man. Give him a break. He's going to need the rest of the year. And I'm going to tell you, I don't know if we're ever going to really know how good CJ Stroud is throughout the season against some of these slower Big Ten opponents. Good defenses, but slower on the secondary ends. I mentioned that in the preview video. Minnesota's secondary was going to be a huge problem in this game. Sure enough, they absolutely were. They're pretty stout up front. But in the secondary, they got beat to the punch in a big way. And Ohio State's going to do that to a lot of teams this season in a slower Big Ten. Big Ten getting a lot faster across the board, especially at Ohio State. But in that secondary, they're still behind with the times, in my opinion. And we're not going to know how great CJ Stroud is until he goes against a really good secondary that can keep stride for stride with what I believe is the best receiving core in the nation. That call by PJ Fleck was a huge momentum changer at the time. Got to give kudos to Minnesota's crowd, man. They showed up and showed out in this game. They made it very difficult for Stroud in his first start. They were loud. They were obnoxious. You could hear them through the TV. Man, they got themselves a good crowd. Good home field advantage if you're Minnesota. Ohio State starts the third quarter right back to Miyan Williams. Smart move there. Miyan Williams, 3 runs for 27 yards on that drive, 9 yards per carry. And at that time, I'm thinking, keep them in, no more Teague. They make it 17-14 Ohio State. Then on Minnesota's next drive, and this was a big part of this game, is Minnesota and Ohio State going tit for tat a lot in this game. Third quarter was easily won by Ohio State, but outside of that, Minnesota was right back in their face. Ryan Watts had the pass interference, then Dallas Grant with the roughing the passer call after Josh Proctor's interception. He returned it 60 yards, but it was a loss all for naught, and Minnesota made them pay again. They rolled with the punches. Ibrahim with the 19-yard touchdown run, and they go up 21-17, and at that point, that was huge for Minnesota because Minnesota was not accepting field goals. And they were going on drives and they were scoring touchdowns. 21-17, that means all 3 of their big drives were touchdowns. That's what you got to do if you want to beat a top 5 opponent that is the Ohio State Buckeyes. Great job by them there. But we knew they could probably stall. They may stall later on in this game. And sure enough, they did. Ohio State goes 3 and out on the next possession. Minnesota crowd continues to get into it. And you start to think Ohio State lost that game at Penn State in 2016. They got blown out in 2017 at Iowa. At Purdue in 2018, blown out. They've really had some tough losses on the road. They kind of got rid of it over the last couple of years. But the road games have definitely been Ohio State's Achilles heel. When they do lose, they don't lose often, but when they do, it's on the road. Last time they lost at home was to Baker Mayfield and Oklahoma in 2017 during the regular season. But now you're thinking, young team, talented but unproven signal caller, this could be trouble for Ohio State. It really could. But a loss, they answered. You got stupid penalties out of Minnesota on the next possession, 2 back-to-back. I think it was a late hit by the lineman, and then they had a holding call. That made that drive all for naught. It goes right back to Ohio State and they make them pay in a hurry. Play action pass, 56-yard touchdown from Stroud to Garrett Wilson, 24-21 Ohio State. And you're getting a little bit worried if you're not rooting for Ohio State, which I'm clearly not. Zach Harrison gets the strip sack on the very next Minnesota possession. Haskell Garrett, the big man, takes it home, makes it 31-21 Ohio State. And to be honest with you, that's when I felt like the game was out of hand. Joe Cloud at that point said, can Minnesota stick to their game plan? There's still 1:41 left in the third quarter, a whole fourth quarter left to go. Ohio State was beating them down, struck twice in a hurry, and had won the third quarter 21-7. Could Minnesota stick to their game plan? They tried to, but then Ibrahim went down with the injury, and now that's an issue. That's an issue because they weren't quite the same. They got some capable guys behind Ibrahim, but Ibrahim was definitely the guy, and he was playing well today. Ohio State Let me know in the comments below if you're an Ohio State fan. Do you guys have a little bit of concern about your run defense? It's only week 1, so I personally wouldn't get too concerned if I was you, but there were a lot of question marks at the linebacking position, not necessarily up front for you guys, but at the linebacker position, and a lot of guys were out of place. Some big gaping holes today. Ibrahim was obviously having a really good day. You only gave up 4.1 yards per carry, technically, but Tanner Morgan had 6 carries for 0 yards, which is negative 0.8 per, so that brought that average down as well. Could have been a lot worse for you guys, and it's starting to pose that question early on, just in week 1. Again, it's so early, but you're going to have to right that ship if you're Ohio State on the defensive front, especially at the linebacker position, because you don't want to have that 2018 rush defense, that's for sure. Even though Michigan couldn't take advantage of it, some teams did. Minnesota got a field goal, made it 31-24, and then it was the play of the game, 3rd and 5 at the Ohio State 30. Minnesota makes a play there. Maybe they get the ball back. They're down a touchdown, still plenty of time left to play, but they give up a 70-yard burst from TreVeyon Henderson off the slip screen. Henderson, we talked about him in the preview. He is a very, very talented running back. Today went quite as planned, honestly, according to our preview and what a lot of your comments said. The Ohio State fan base said in the comments of that video, they said that Henderson was a stud. He's definitely going to get a shot, that Miyan Williams had a great offseason, and he's probably going to be the main guy. And we all agreed, most of us agreed, that Master Teague was not that dude. And sure enough, that's pretty much what happened today, and I think it's what's going to happen most of the season for Ohio State. There are going to be question marks if you're Minnesota. You're going to say, what if Ibrahim hadn't gotten injured? I'm going to tell you right now, that's not an excuse. You were starting to lose handle of the lead, and it was about to get ugly anyways. So the Mo Ibrahim injury, big, but not as big as you may think. What if they gotten some key stops at key moments? Maybe that would have made a difference. But the fact of the matter is, you only got yourself to blame. I wouldn't doubt it if there was another big play by Ohio State while I'm recording this. But as I'm recording this, there were 6 really big plays. I'm going to try to name them. I might miss on. Chris Olave had 2 really big touchdown plays. TreVeyon Henderson had the long slip screen touchdown. You had Miyan Williams with the 72-yard touchdown. What else? You had Garrett Wilson's 56-yard touchdown from C.J. Stroud, and then you had the strip sack touchdown for Haskell Garrett. So yeah, just big plays, man. Big plays, and that's the difference maker. The receiving core for Ohio State, up front for Ohio State on defense, Miyan Williams and TreVeyon Henderson, they were the difference makers. Big players show up in big moments, and Ohio State did that today. If you're Minnesota, great job stopping Ohio State on the small stuff, but you had to find a way to not give up those huge, huge plays. As a Michigan fan, I know that all too well. That was the reaction to this Ohio State-Minnesota game. I think Ohio State has a bright future, obviously offensively. A lot of speed on that team. Man, oh man, not many teams in the Big Ten, like I said, are going to be able to keep up with them. Some things they need to fix up, maybe some secondary issues here and there. We mentioned that in the preview video. And of course, the linebacking core that I said as well. But all in all, pretty good performance. You got to be happy with it, especially the second half. If you're Minnesota, look like you're a lot better than last year's team, that's for sure. And that's what we expected, but there were still some question marks. Not everybody was sure that that was going to happen. You got a lot of experience on your team. You got to clean some things up in the secondary as well, and got to stop giving up those big plays on defense. But all in all, I think you're going to be okay, especially when Autman-Bell comes back, and hopefully Ibrahim is healthy. That was the reaction. Hope you guys have a great one. I'll also have the Boise State UCF reaction up shortly, and we'll have reactions all day Saturday, as well as Michigan State reaction tomorrow and North Carolina Virginia Tech reaction tomorrow. See you guys next time on Tap Sports. Out.